I'm Rebecca Venkatraman. Today we have Basic Beliefs in Emerson at 12:30. Okay, now it is. Okay. Basic Beliefs in Emerson at 12:30. At 12:30 we also have a retreat called Lift Your Life with our practitioner Sharon DeLeon. And at 1 o'clock we have a very special workshop. As you can tell, by the way, the cafe is open today. I'm sure you can all smell the wonderful food that's being prepared for our lunch, and it's vegan barbecues. So the speaker this morning is Azim Khamisha. He's the CEO of the Tariq Khamisha Foundation. Their mission is to create safer schools and communities by educating and inspiring children in the restorative principles of accountability, compassion, forgiveness, and peacemaking. So I invite you to join him today in the sanctuary at 1 o'clock for his workshop entitled, On Purpose, Finding Your Path to Peace and Fulfillment. Monday, we are so lucky to have the deep meditation again, Monday night. Wednesday night is Power Up. Friday, we have the celebration for the International Women's Day event with Callie and Seaside Sisters. Next week, we have a new education calendar coming out. And for the first time on March 13th, Reverend Christian is going to be teaching a new class, The Power of Your Word. And he would like you guys to sign up today so he can order all the supplies he needs for that class. Next week, we're going to be showing a movie called The World is My Country. And we have a clip. Marv, could we have that clip?
Here's Gary Davis.
World citizen number one, Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis.
Gary Davis. Who, me?
You are about to hear from an everyday man with an extraordinary life story. He was an actor, a song and dance man who leapt off the Broadway stage onto the world stage in 1948, taking on cops, border guards, armies, and whole nations, showing us that we don't have to be awed by their props of power and control. For 65 years, as a citizen of no nation, only the world, Gary Davis made his own props of freedom, demonstrating that we, the people, can tear down the walls of oppression and write our own story. We can build a world that is constructive for all and destructive to none. A world in which all of us can truly say, the world is my country.
And we have new member time of the year. And to speak to us about our new member program, we have board member Tina.
Hi. Oh, good. I feel really short. They tell me not to touch it, though, right? They tell Kat not to touch it, I think. Sorry. We're doing something really fun. We do this twice a year. We're having New Member Sunday coming up March 25th. So now is the time to join Seaside if you feel so inclined. I'm going to be at the table in the back talking to people who want to become new members. And the number one question that they ask me is there something that's expected of me? What is it that I have to do? And what they really mean is, do I have to tithe? So we explain all that during the new member class, which is March 18th. So don't worry about any of that. And the real short answer is no. There's nothing you have to do. What you're doing is making a commitment. You're saying yes. And what you're doing is saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your spiritual path, yes to being here at Seaside, that this is your family. I love this expression that Reverend Christian uses, that you've been coming here as guests, and now you're going to come be family. And sometimes when we're family, we're in the kitchen, you know, we're cleaning up after the party or whatever. You're just a little bit more committed. You're coming, you're showing up. And I think there's a lot of people here today. There were so many people at the 9 o'clock because we have a very special speaker this morning. And I think that's part of what happens here at Seaside. That's what's exciting about being here at Seaside. If this feels right to you, say yes to your spiritual growth. say yes to becoming part of the family. If you're already part of the family and you already are a member, we would love to have you sponsor and mentor a new member. On March 25th, we're going to welcome everybody in at the 11 o'clock service, and then we're going to take all the new members out to lunch. So it's a ton of fun, and it's a great way to become more involved and to know more people here who are like-minded. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the back.
Thank you, Tina. And now we have a special morning in that we are going to be celebrating out in our garden today, and we're going to be talking about our pavers. And to talk to you about the program that's being offered, we have Richard Druckman.
Thank goodness you didn't introduce me as Eve. For those of you who are here for our Adam and Eve celebration. If you look in the dictionary, the word perpetuality means never ending. It means so much more at Seaside. You have a great opportunity not only to support Seaside, but to leave a never-ending legacy for yourself in our beautiful celebration garden. Would love to have you sign up to do that. So today, we have 2 tables set up, one in the family room and one out in the garden, and we're going to have some fun. You have the Seaside bingo card that was in your program, and what you're going to do is you go into the garden and you're going to look for the particular paver. Once you fill up a line or find 3 on a line for bingo, you can find any other 2 pavers to fill into the blanks. And the winner will get a huge hug and a cup of coffee and a treat at the coffee table, or see me and I will buy you a free lunch if you win. So have some fun. It's a beautiful day out there. Go in the garden and play the Seaside bingo game and look for an opportunity to leave your personal legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. That was an upgrade. There wasn't a free lunch offered at the earlier service. So I'd like to invite you all to stand and greet your neighbors.
Good morning, Seaside. Please remain standing for the congregational song. We're going to do a classic one. I think we all know this one. I am listening to the music of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what a song God is singing. I will listen all day long. I will listen all day long. Sing with me, Seaside. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. I am lifted in the love of the Holy Spirit. Oh, what a joy God is being. Praise the Spirit all day long. Said praise the Spirit all day long. Sing with me, Seaside. Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey
on, Bob. Give it up for Bob and our Seaside Band. Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey ya.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey ya.
Oh yeah, hey yeah.
Oh yeah, hey ya.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah. Yeah, Seaside.
Ooh, yeah, Seaside. Right. Thank you, Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca, being that you are in the know person for music, who's going to win the Academy Awards tonight for Best Song?
Yeah, so here's what happened. I didn't know till this morning that the academies or something was happening today.
Seriously? Really? Oh,
That's
my
how in
God.
tune I am with it.
Oh, man.
Just so
Well,
you know.
I know who's going to win Best Album in San Diego Music Awards. That is Rebecca Jade, Peter Sprague, and we got her right here. So,
I received that.
all
That's
right. Academy Awards, we'll wait till next year for you.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll
all
wait.
right, all right. So, all right. Hey, good morning, Seaside. Woo! What a joy it is to see you. It feels like a spring day out there, doesn't it? Like the rain has ceased. After service day, we're meeting down the gardens. You heard all about it from Kat, but we're trying to get you guys to buy your paver because we're going to wrap this up this month. And so I'll be out there drinking coffee. Why don't you play bingo, trying to find the square? Like where's that one? So I'll see you out there afterwards. But I'll tell you what, today is a powerful message. So I'm glad you're here. Seaside continues to be that bright light, that beacon in the community for love and peace. And wherever you may be on your spiritual path, know that you are welcome here. It is a place without judgment. It is a place that cares. We do our best to practice kindness in all of our expressions. And when we stumble all over each other, we forgive and love and keep going because there is a vision that we are here to make a difference. It is a spiritual community that inspires us to live our dreams. And so we're here to do that. And today's a powerful message. So I want to encourage you to take out your phone. Most places tell you to put it away. I'm telling you, take it out, check in. Because our speaker today, Azim Khamisha, is trending right now on TED Talks. Over 800,000 people have watched his latest TED Talk. So I want you to tell your friends that time you can watch Rebecca and wonderful music we got going. And Rick, last time you pulled out and did 3,200 people he had look at his check-in on Facebook, who last time he texted on a Sunday morning, showed me on the way out. So I encourage you to do that. But I'll tell you what, even more powerful than letting people know what's going on here is taking it to a deeper level. We have fun, we share it with the world, but it's because we do the work within inside of ourselves, and we have got a powerful practitioner today. Kathy Bakay heads up our heart-to-heart ministry. That is where we take our hands and our heart off our campus out into the community, where we can get involved in nonprofits locally, beyond just contributing funds, but contributing volunteer hours. And so taking us to a deeper place through her heart, her consciousness, Kathy Bakay.
Morning. So I invite you to join us in the silence. And on this amazing light-filled morning, I lift my heart, knowing that God's power and love is the very fabric of the universe, that the space-time continuum is infinite, and ever unfolding in grace. And so I am one with the Spirit, and I know each one here is absolutely filled to overflowing with God's grace. The very soul is ignited with that, knowing that it all comes within, from within, that universal abundance and grace is absolutely from within. And I just know that abundance is always a possibility, that opportunity is always available, and that is God's grace. And so from that connection, that deep divine connection, I bless this service with God's love and power and forgiveness. And I am absolutely feeling right now that God's grace and knowing divine right action in this moment and for always.
Breathe in, let the power of love fulfill you. Breathe out, let the burdens of life be gone. Release any worries you have for tomorrow. Look within, let's begin as one. Breathe in, let the power of love fulfill you. Breathe out, let the burdens of life be gone. Release any worries you have for tomorrow. Look within, let's begin as one.
Thank you, Kathy, for that beautiful invocation, and thank you, Rebecca. Wow, what a beautiful call to worship. Good morning. I'm Rebecca Venkatraman, and I'm a senior in the ministerial school here. I would like to welcome all these visitors. As I look out, there's so many new faces. Thank you so much for spending Sunday morning with us. We're so glad. Please introduce yourself. We have a packet in the back for you, and it has some coupons for our bookstore and coffee and muffins and a CD that I'd love for you to listen to. Really tells you a lot about our teachings. So this morning, we are sharing good news. And the good news I have to share with you is about a 12-year-old girl in Norwich, England, who felt called to do something for herself and her community. Her name is Nadina Sparkles, and she just couldn't figure out what it was. She thought, I'm one person, I'm 12 years old, what can I do? And it came to her. I'm gonna ride my bike to school. It's just 2 miles each way, and I'm gonna pick up trash on the way there and on the way back. So she had a big basket put on her bicycle, and she filled that basket every single day as she went to and from school. Well, she was 12, so of course all of her friends didn't really think that was the coolest thing to be doing, didn't really help her image at all. But she really felt called, and she didn't want to give up that calling. Well, the bullies got meaner, and she said to her mom, I don't know what to do. And her mom said, well, at this point, you've got a mountain of trash, so you're going to have to make up your mind. This is either going to go forward or you're going to use what they're saying to you as motivation. So she headed off to school that morning, and when she got to school, one of the other moms was there dropping her kids off. And she said, I see you every day and all the trash you've collected. I'm so proud of you. I know this isn't easy. And Nadina said, no, they call me trash girl. And it's kind of hard in middle school to be called trash girl, but I am following my calling, and I'm doing what I know is right for me. And that mom said, let's get you some support. Let's get a Facebook group going, and it's called Trash Girl Team. And because she followed her calling, I'm standing in Encinitas, California, talking to you about a 12-year-old girl in Norwich, England, who's collecting trash every morning. So, from this place of open heart, please join me in prayer. I know there's one source of good in the universe, and that source is God. I know that God is my creator, and where I stand is holy ground because God and I are one. I know that each person here was called here by divine appointment to be stretched, to receive new thought, to be guided to the next step on their path. I know that the blessings flow and that each person is uplifted and guided to the right next place. I know that healing happens now, and I am so thankful that we have the opportunity to gather in this sacred place and hear these sacred words in this perfect moment in time. With great gratitude, I release my word to the law of mind, knowing it is already done. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning, Seaside. Well, it is my honor to introduce our guest artist. And today we have a very special guest. It is his very, very first time here at Seaside. So we hope we can give him a wonderful welcome. I met this young lad not too long ago, but we also work as singers around town. A lot of times we don't get to work together, so we had an opportunity where we got to sing a little bit together, and as soon as I heard him, I said, I gotta get him to Seaside. I didn't tell him that, I told that to myself. Anyway, and so we kept in communication. I asked him if he'd be willing to come join us, and he said he would. So I hope, not only is he a fantastic singer, I did not want to miss out on the opportunity to share that he is active duty Navy, so we want to thank you for your service as well. Thank you. He's got an amazing voice. I hope you're touched by it. Please help me welcome Santino.
Okay, let's do this. All right, how you guys doing? You guys feeling it? You guys feeling all right? You can clap along, you can stand, you can sing. There you go, we got one. That's the start. When you feel down and out, sing a song. It'll make a day. Here's a time to shout out loud. Sing a song. It'll make a way. Sometimes it's hard to feel. Sing a song. It'll make a day. Smile so hard to bear. Sing a song. It'll make a way. Sing a song. 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 Yeah. Better bring your heart to believe it. Sing a song. It'll make a day. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Life ain't always meaning. Sing a song. It'll make a way. Give yourself what you need. Sing a song. It'll make a day. Smile, smile, smile and believe. Sing a song. It'll make a way. Sing a song now. Sing a song. Sing a song. Sing a to be here, yeah. For the first time, maybe not for the last time, baby. Feels so good, don't you feel it too? You and you and you and you and you. Hey. Sing a song, sing a song, sing a song, sing a song. If you sing a song today, you will think a better way. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey. Sing a song, sing a song, sing a song, sing a song. Woo! Sing your song.
Woo! That is Santino, man, sing a song. I like that. That is, gosh, what a great message, man. Sing our song, that is what we're doing for sure. Welcome, glad you made it to Seaside. Anyway, hey, our message, I'm just, I guess excited is the right word about our speaker today, Azim Khamisha. He's been hailed by some of our former presidents and attorney generals for the work that he does, honored by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and Thich Nhat Hanh, award-winning books, A Bulletproof Soul, From Murder to Forgiveness, first book of his trilogy, followed by From Forgiveness to Fulfillment, and Fulfillment to Peace. And his story just captured the national headlines, and truly an international individual. Has over 100 speaking engagements a year, and just recently he's been in Dubai, Australia, London, and we were just very blessed to be able to have this Sunday morning window. And I said, well, I'm willing to move to the side to have you come swinging through here. You know, if you're good enough for Oprah, you're good enough for us. So it's a joy to be able. He was born in Kenya, Africa, and his early education had to do with mathematics, economics, and international finances, and has become a very successful, over the last 35 years, not just become, is a very successful international financial banker. Lives here in La Jolla. His work truly is legendary because he has personally touched over 1 million children in elementary and middle schools, but his social media programs and his video programs has touched over 20 million children. I can keep talking about him, but the best way for you to experience him is to listen to Azim. But I'll tell you what, we've got an intro that really explains his story. So.
Time now for our Friday Making a Difference report, and the story of a man whose capacity for forgiveness is astonishing. He suffered the worst loss a parent can ever face, and yet he decided to turn his grief into something positive for himself and a troubled young man. Here's NBC's John Larson.
A documentary began the story like this.
14-year-old Tony Hicks shot and killed 20-year-old Tariq Khamisha.
A 14-year-old murders a promising young college student for the cost of a pizza and becomes the youngest child in California history charged as an adult with murder and gets life in prison.
It was like a nuclear bomb going off in my heart.
Azim Khamisha, the father of the victim, buried his only son Tariq according to their Muslim custom. He climbed down into the muddy grave. It had been raining, and they lowered his son's body wrapped in a white cloth down into his open arms.
Yeah, I didn't want to live there alone. I stayed there a long time. When something bad happens, you can stop that bad from happening to other people.
But when he finally came up, he did something remarkable.
It is wrong to lie, to cheat.
First, he forgave the family of the killer.
It was a defining moment in my life. Only through that forgiveness,
which in turn helped Azim start the Tariq Khamisha Foundation, speaking together to more than 1 million children about the real pain of violence.
And sometimes it scars the soul forever.
Then, Azim visited Tony Hicks, the killer, who had never had a father, and forgave him too.
his forgiveness wasn't something I expected.
Now Azim is lobbying to have Tony released from prison early, like he was his own son.
And when he gets out of prison, what do you hope for him?
We'll have a job for him at the foundation.
So you're going to hire him?
Absolutely.
This is the killer of your son?
Yes.
Tony says now he knows what a real father is.
I had a man forgive me for taking the life of his son.
And he will work for that father, and for many who maybe never had fathers, someday, whether he gets out early or not. John Larson, NBC News, San Diego, California.
Join me in welcoming to our stage Azim Khamisha. Yeah. Spirit moves through you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back at Seaside and to be back with my good friend Christian. And I thought I might start with a prayer from the prophet's dua. Dua is Arabic word for prayer. So I'll recite it in Arabic first, and then I'll translate it in English. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam wa alayka jaw salam. Hina rabbna bi salam wadkhilna dar salam. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. O Allah, O our Lord, Thou art the peace, from Thee is the peace, and to Thee returneth the peace. O Allah, O our Lord, give us a life of peace and usher us into the abode of peace. So as we celebrate the season for nonviolence and peace, I think the central question in front of us is, how do we find peace in a world that the news from all directions assaults us with increasing level of violence and potential threats of new wars, and in a very challenging and probably the most divisive times that we find ourselves in. Spirit is very much missing in our world, except for this space in Seaside. I love the energy here. Thank you, Christian, for having such a beautiful sanctuary here. You walk in here and I felt at peace. But mine is a personal story, which started very dark. And as Christian talked about, chronicled in my trilogy, we started from murder to forgiveness, and then the work that I've done in the aftermath of losing my only son has been very fulfilling. So my sequel was From Forgiveness to Fulfillment. And I recently finished a trilogy, From Fulfillment to Peace. Of course, I did not know that 23 years ago when I chose to forgive instead of go the other way. When I lost my only son, that was 23 years ago. And he was a great kid. He was a sophomore student at San Diego State University. He was a great writer and a great photographer, kind and generous. His aspirations was someday to work for National Geographic. He loved cultures and travel, engaged to a beautiful girl. And his hero was Gandhi, a man of peace. And he worked as a pizza delivery man on Fridays and Saturdays while he was attending college to make some extra money for school. And he was lured to a bogus address in North Park by a youth gang. And they gave the right apartment building address, but the wrong apartment number. So he knocked on many doors, trying to find out who'd ordered the pizzas. course, nobody had. So he came back to his car, put the pizzas in the trunk of his car, climbed into the driver's side seat, and as he was about to leave the scene of the crime, he was accosted by 4 youth gang members. 3 of them were 14-year-old, and the leader of the gang was an 18-year-old, who handed a 9mm handgun to a 14-year-old. And as my son is back in his car from the driveway of the apartment building, the leader gave the order, "Bust him, Bones." Bones was his gang nickname, and he fired 1 round, which came through the driver's side window. It entered my son's body right here under the left shoulder blade. It traveled across the upper part of his chest. It actually exited from his right armpit. But as the coroner explained to me afterwards, the bullet followed a perfect path. A perfect path, I queried. I thought that was an interesting choice of words. And he was very quick to tell me, "Mr. Khamisha, I'm not trying to be insensitive. We do not see a path like this very often. And what it really means in my lingo is it destroyed all the vital organs in your son's body. And Tariq died a couple of minutes later, drowning in his own blood over a lousy pizza at the age of 20. The sudden, senseless death of an innocent, unarmed human being. The overwhelming grief of a family. The total confusion as you try to absorb a new, hideous reality. And although this was 23 years ago, those early days I etched deeply on my mind, on my heart, and my soul. And I went through all the emotions you would expect a parent to go through losing a child. I always thought parents were not engineered to lose a child. If I was at the scene, I would have instinctively put my body between him and the bullet. And I remember hopelessness, despair, loss of energy. I was suicidal at one point. I really did not know how to move forward without my son, not my only son. I have a beautiful daughter, but he was my only son. And one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to call his mother. I live here. She lived in Seattle, Washington. So I had to do this on the telephone. Think about it. How do you tell a mother she's never, ever going to see her son again? Or hear him laugh? Or give him a hug? How do you do that? Tariq had a very special relationship with his mom. I also have a very special relationship with my mom. I lost her last April, so I'm still sad about that and grieving. And it took me a while. And when I eventually told her what had happened to Tariq, she let out this loud, piercing shriek as she fell to the ground. I could actually hear her hit the ground on the telephone, and I finished a very broken conversation with one of her brothers. Thank God she wasn't by herself. Now you're probably wondering, why am I sharing this with you? Because it is painful. And why do I share this very often to my audiences? For one reason. Sometimes you don't know how painful violence is till it crosses your path. At least I didn't. But now that I get how painful violence is, I would never in my life be violent to another sister or another brother. And I think it's important that we all get how painful violence is, that it hurts deep, it scars the soul, sometimes it scars it forever. whether we are young or old, I think it's important we all get it. Because I truly believe, as human beings, if we get how painful violence is, we would not be killing each other. And yet, think about how much violence there is in society. I mean, you'll be surprised if I share with you that just in the first 45 days of 2018, from January 1st to February 15th, we've had 17 school shootings in our country. The Economist, which is a very regular, very reputable magazine, did a study, and they took 25 first world countries like Canada, Australia, Japan, England, Germany, France, Italy, and they added all the kids that die in those 25 countries as a result of gun violence, took the total and multiplied that by 11. That is how many we lose in the United States of America. And that's not good. I'm not knocking America. I love this country, as I'm sure you do. And there's a lot of good here. We have freedom. We have democracy, although that's being challenged right now, in my opinion. We have a meritocratic society. But when it comes to violence, we are a very poor role model. And because we are the only superpower and the richest nation in the world, we have a tremendous impact on the social culture of our planet. I mean, if you travel overseas, what do you see? You see Starbucks and KFC and McDonald's and Levi's and American music and American movies. So what happens in America eventually happens in the rest of the world, and unfortunately, the world is getting more violent. So I took a different response to this tragedy. There's a great quote by Henry David Thoreau that says, "It doesn't matter what you look at. What matters is what you see." Sometimes in deep trauma, there is a spark of clarity. Every saint has suffered the dark night of the soul. And that spark of clarity for me in my tragedy was that there are victims at both ends of the gun. It didn't come from my intellect or my loving heart. Rather, it was a download from the higher power. I'm glad to see so many of you in a spiritual venue. I meditate 2 hours a day. I must practice as a Sufi Muslim. And that was a gift that came from the higher power, that there are victims at both ends of the gun. It's easy to see that Tariq, my son, was a victim of the 14-year-old Tony. A little bit complicated to see that he was a victim of society, of American society. Well, that bears the question, who is American society? Well, it's you and me. Because I don't believe, in my humble opinion, that society is just happenstance. All of us who are Americans, we are responsible for the society we've created. And children killing children is not a mark of a civil society. Now, I'm a first-generation American, as Christian shared with you. I was born in Kenya, educated in England, and actually moved here to get away from the violence of Idi Amin in neighboring Uganda. So it was actually ironic that my son was killed on a street in a city and a country I picked for him. But having learned these horrific statistics, I felt as an American citizen that I should take my share of the responsibility for the bullet that took my son's life. Why? Because it was fired by an American child. You could take the position, he killed my one and only son, he should be hung from the highest pole. How does that improve society? So 9 months after Tariq died, I founded the Azim Khamisha Foundation to help my family and me honor him, but also to address the problem of youth violence which plagues the entire country in a major way. And the mission statement of the Azim Khamisha Foundation is to stop kids from killing kids by breaking the cycle of youth violence, and essentially have three mandates. Our first and foremost mandate is to save lives of children. We lose so many on a daily basis, and it's important to do. Our second mandate is to empower the right choices so our young people don't fall to the crack and choose lives of gangs and crime and drugs and alcohols and weapons. And our third mandate is to teach the principles of nonviolence, of empathy, of compassion, of forgiveness, of peacemaking. And I like what Christian shared in the opening, and I believe, and I like the fact that he said that this place is no judgment. Because the biggest impediment to forgiveness is judgment. And we are a very judging society. And soon after, I started the foundation. I asked the district attorney, Paul Finks was our district attorney at that time, to introduce me to Tony's grandfather. You met him on the video. And I started the conversation by saying, I'm not here screaming revenge and retribution because your grandson killed my only son. Rather, I am here in the spirit of compassion and forgiveness because what I really see is we both lost a child. I can't bring my son back from the dead. And there's nothing you can do to get your grandson, who's like a son to him because he lived with his grandfather and calls his grandfather daddy. You can't do anything to get Tony out of the adult criminal justice system. Tony actually was the first 14-year-old in the state of California to be tried as an adult. It's a landmark case. So the real reason I'm here is to tell you that I've created this foundation with a very lofty mission of stopping kids from killing kids. While I can't bring Tariq back from the dead, and you can't do anything to get Tony out of prison, the one thing you and I can do is to make sure no young person in our community end up dead or end up in prison. The real reason I'm here is to ask for your help. Will you help me? So he was very quick to take my hand of forgiveness. And fast forward 22 years, we're still together. I would never have met him. He's African American, although I was still in place. I'm the African American, this group, not you. You weren't born, I was born in Africa, you were not. You know? He's Christian, he grew up as a Baptist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Sufi. His grandson killed my son. And we're together 22 years later. He's as close to me as my own brother. And we'll be continuously to be together till we are no longer able to do that. This ministry is as important to him as it is to me. And what the Azim Khamisha Foundation has created is a safe school model. So the safe school model has 4 different components. The first component is a life assembly with him and me. And I introduced this man's grandson, killed this man's son. And as you see, they're here in the spirit of compassion, forgiveness, and brotherhood. And I started with a very simple premise that violence is a learned behavior. No child was born violent. Tony wasn't born violent. But if you accept that nonviolence is a learned behavior, as a truism, it follows that nonviolence can also be a learned behavior. But you have to teach it, because kids are not going to learn this through osmosis. And when they see me and him together, I mean, by the time our kids get to grade 1, they're 6 years old, they've seen 100,000 images of violence. Think about it, right? TV, video games, movies, violence, violence, violence. When they meet us and they see that this man's grandson killed this man's son, it is the first time in their young lives that they've actually seen an alternative to violence. Mostly what they see is that violence begets more violence, or we break that mold. And we specialize between 5th and 9th grade. Because Tony joined a gang in 6th grade and took the life of my son in 8th grade. Middle years are tough years. I'm sure you all know that. So the safe school model, the assembly, and then we do a little processing because there's a lot of angst in our schools. I mean, a lot of our work is in inner city schools, and I always ask them, how many of you have lost family members as a result of violence? And 2/3 of the hands go up. 2/3? Middle school? So we process their grief, their despair. There's a lot of suicidal issues. And then we've created an in-classroom curriculum restorative practices where we talk about choice making, we talk about healing, we talk about repairing relationship, about fixing the situation, we talk about empathy, we teach compassion, we teach forgiveness. And having done this now, I've given over 1,000 presentations to over 1 million kids. I have over 100,000 letters. The hope that I have is that not only are these concepts teachable, our children are hungry for them. We have a peace club we create on campus. And then we have a mentoring program because 1,000 kids pretty much in the middle schools in Southern California. And of those 1,000 kids, someplace between 8 and 12% are the challenging kids. So we hook those up with mentors that work for the foundation. And our mentors work not only in school with them, but at home and in the community. In 2 years, we're able to get rid of the gangs, improve the SAT scores, improve attendance, and besides teaching these important principles of nonviolence and of empathy and of compassion, of forgiveness and peacemaking and non-judgment, because we teach, it doesn't matter what your skin color is or your religion is, your race is, or your socioeconomic status is. We teach we are one human race. We don't judge. And folks, we got to get this. If you don't get that we are one human race, we'll never, ever get to peace. How many, please say with me, how many, please say we are one human race. Louder, we are one human race. I think it's very important to get this. And we teach that in our kids early. Because racism is a big problem in our country and we need to address that. So we address all of these issues in a positive, healing way. And besides teaching all of these principles, I'm really happy to share with you is we cut expulsions and suspensions by 70%. Yeah. Because if you expel or suspend a kid, where does he end up? In a gang in the criminal justice system. It costs $10,000 a year to provide free public education in our country. It costs $140,000 a year to incarcerate a youth for 1 year. And even after spending that, the recidivism rate is 85%. 80% nationally, 85% in California. So you spend that all the time. Our safe school model costs $50 a kid a year. You don't have to be an investment banker to know that's a good investment, you know? So we've created what I call an affordable and a viable solution to curb youth violence. There's 40-some schools waiting for us. My problem is resources, because a lot of schools we go to don't have money, so I spend as much time raising money for the foundation so we can go to more and more and more and more schools. And on the table there with my books, we have brochures for the foundation, and please pick one up, and if you are able to support us, please do, or join us in other capacity. We need volunteers, board members. We're doing some very, very good work. 5 years after this tragedy, I went to meet the young man who killed my son. He was 19 years old. And I knew that for me to complete my journey of forgiveness, at some point, I had to come eyeball to eyeball with the kid who killed my son. Well, that's hard to do. We are humans after all. And the grandfather went with me because I told him, this is my first visit to Tony. Actually, I just saw him a couple of weeks ago. But that was my first visit. I said, I want you to go with me, but I need some alone time with him because he was the last person to see my son. And you as grandfather, so if you're there, he's going to be defensive in terms of what he shares with me. And there are some holes in the story that only Tony can complete. The grandfather was very gracious. He left us alone. And Tony and I talked man to man for an hour and a half. And I remember that meeting very clearly Because at one point we locked eyeballs. I'm looking in his eyes, he's looking in my eyes, and we held that glance for what seemed like a fairly long time. And I'm looking in his eyes, trying to find a murderer, and I didn't. I was able to climb through his eyes and touch his humanity, that I got that the spark in him was no different than the spark in me or any one of you. I wasn't expecting that. He was well-mannered. He was articulate. He was well-spoken. He was remorseful. He didn't portray any of the typical attitudes of a 19-year-old in our society. Well, I wasn't expecting that. He's a likable kid. If you walk through those doors, you would have the same impression of him as I did. And I could tell that my hand of forgiveness had changed him. So at that point, I told him, Tony, not only have I forgiven you, I want you to know that when you come out, and I have some very good news about that. I've been trying to get him out for 12 years. He will finally parole in October of this year. I told him back that he's 37 now. I told him back when he was 19, he had a job at the Azim Khamisha Foundation. The next day, the grandfather called me and says, that meeting you had with Tony was very transformative for him. And I said to him, plus it was the same for me. I said, I don't know why I waited 5 years, because I distinctly remember that as I left the prison, my stride was much bouncier than the one I walked in with. Forgiveness can be very freeing. It can take this big albatross off your shoulder. He says, as you were leaving, he tells me, Daddy, that's a special person. He killed my one and only son. I killed his one and only son. Not only has he forgiven me, he's offered me a job. I'm not worthy of it, but I'm going to try. At 22, he aced his GED. He's 12 units away from his degree in child psychology. He studied, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, Shakespeare, Chaucer. He's a great writer. He wrote the foreword to my last book, From Fulfillment to Peace, and did a great job. Now think about him on stage, right? When he looks at the kids and tells the kids, when I was 11, I joined a gang. When I was 14, I murdered Mr. Khamisha's son. I've spent the last umpteen years in prison. I wish I could turn the clock back. Do you think the kids will listen to that voice? Yeah. Because his intonations will be of a person who pulled the trigger. And I know he wants to turn the clock back. So, in my hearts of hearts, I know we have saved Tony. But more importantly, he will save tens of thousands of kids when he joins the foundation, works with his grandfather and me, and touches kids that might be thinking about joining a gang as he did when he was 11 years old. So what's the big takeaway from here? Let me close my remarks with this quote, which is the basis of my last book, From Fulfillment to Peace. You don't have to remember it. It's something I did on the TED Talk, which Christian talked about. So if you have a chance, you can go check out the TED Talk. And I finish with the same quote. Sustained goodwill creates friendship. Now that ought to be obvious, right? You don't create friendship by bombing them, right? You create friendship by extending goodwill. So sustained goodwill creates friendship. Sustained friendship creates trust. Sustained trust creates empathy. Sustained empathy creates compassion. Sustained compassion creates peace. So I call this my peace formula. Goodwill, friendship, trust, empathy, compassion, peace. But people ask me, how do you extend goodwill to the person who murdered your child? I tell them, you do that through forgiveness. As it's evident it worked for me, it worked for my family. What's a miracle? It worked for him and his family. It can work for you and your family. It can work for Israel and Palestine, North and South Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria. It can work for the United States of America. Indeed, it can work for the planet. So let me leave you, my sisters and brothers, with this thought that peace is possible. How do I know that? Because I am at peace. Thank you very much. Have a good morning and namaste.
This is Azim Khamisha. Great job, brother. Man, he's fabulous. Azim Khamisha, you want more? He's doing his workshop 1 o'clock here. So, Santino, coming back for more. I've got a microphone for you.
People get ready, there's a train a-coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is your faith to hear the diesel humming. Don't need no ticket, you just get on board. Get ready for the train, Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open doors and board them. There's room for all among love the most. Get ready, there's a train a-coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. Faith is the key to hear those diesels humming. You don't need no tickets, you just climb on board. Train a-coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. See that faith is the key to hear those diesels humming. You don't need no tickets, you just get on board. You don't need no tickets, you just get on board. You don't need no tickets, you just get on board. Thank you.
That is Santino. Woo, just get on board. Don't need a ticket. That was on that spirit, that soul train. Oh, man, what's your soul doing today? My heart, Azim, my goodness, is just, I mean, this isn't theoretical today. It's amazing. It's really amazing what you're doing. Thank you for opening our hearts and opening our eyes to that greater possibility that exists. So, and I want to thank all of you for creating the space where we can be inspired to see Spirit in action. You know, every Sunday at this time in the service, we unite together in our givingness that is supportive to creating this space for us to come together. And so this is the time of our service where I ask, hey, how do you support Spirit showing up in your life at Seaside? And so this is the time where we get to give, we get to make that contribution to support the community and the work that is going on here. So I invite you to listen to your heart that I know is wider and bigger and more open now than ever before, and allow that fuller space to express itself in your support of Spirit's work. And as you feel that and feel into that, I want to invite our ushers to come forward at this time and say thank you to this wonderful crew as we do take our gifts from our heart and our soul and our spirit, and know that we cannot outgive Spirit, that truly we have been asked to support Spirit's work that shows up in our life, because it will continue to show up in our life in those ways that matter to us, in ways that are significant and real. But we're the ones who've got to participate in the wonderful flow. And so I want to say thank you to all of you as I share this prayer of gratitude with the most generous of spiritual communities. As this love flows through us and from us as us, we are truly a wonderful, generous expression of Spirit. And I sit here in the sense of gratitude for those that have come here this day and support Spirit's work, to those that have come before us to support this work, to those that are out there watching through our live streaming that support this work. There is something powerful that is being contributed to humanity because of Spirit's expression at Seaside at this time. And so as we continue to say yes to Spirit by sharing that which has blessed our life, graced our world, we take that blessing and send it forth into life, knowing that it continues to bless and grace and bring joy to all it comes in contact. For we have said yes to being a conduit through that infinite flow. So with joy, we share that which has enriched our life. And I know this enriching blessing touches many more people than we can ever begin to imagine. So we have said yes to this moment of sending forth a vibration of greater good that makes a difference in this world. So I say thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this opportunity to not only reflect as to what I'm being called to do, but to be that in action. So with love, we send this forth, and in love, we continue to walk this world. And so it is. Amen. And together, let us share this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully, I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. Those are your guys from Seaside. Nice job, guys. And so I stand before this bounty. I can feel the outpouring of love, the caring, the compassion, for I truly know that this represents how our personal lives have been touched and blessed and graced by the presence of God, and we find joy in sharing that. And so it is received in love, it is handled in good stewardship, and is put forth to carry that wonderful flow and that frequency and that vibration of blessings to all that comes in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this opportunity to pause and to be the action of Spirit made manifest in abundant ways. And so it is. Amen. All right. This is Josh Franklin. He is one of your Board of Trustee members and our Seaside's legal counsel, and just appreciate the wonderful support you give us. Josh Franklin, Vice President, actually, of your Board of Trustees. So thank you. Hey, speaking of, thank you, Santino. I am so glad you have found Seaside. Bless you for bringing your spirit. Rebecca Jade, always a joy to share Sunday mornings with you and the wonderful gift of music you bring us. And Rebecca, thank you for the love that you bring. Final semester, School of Ministry. Very exciting. And Melanie, thank you for giving us the sound today. Marv for giving us the visuals. And the full Crawford live streaming team for sharing this message to the world. It is definitely touching people for sure. And a special big shout out to Azim Khamisha. Bless you for your story, your heart, your soul. And I just want to remind you after service, hey, grab a bite to eat. I know people are buying tickets like crazy at the first service. People are just lining up. So plan to come be here at 1 o'clock and hear the message and talk to Azim afterwards. Visit the table. I don't know if you got any of your trilogy left. And what was it? From murder to forgiveness was the first one. Forgiveness to fulfillment was the second one. And the third one was fulfillment to peace. What a legacy, as well as your other one that received just national acclaim was a Bulletproof Spirit. So see him and support the foundation. I can't believe $50 and you've got schools waiting up, and we will spend $10,000 to educate a kid, not $10,050. Something that will keep 75% of the expelled students in school. It boggles my mind. You can count Seaside in at least for 10 of those kids coming up. So we'll make sure we get that to you. Thank you for that. It's just moments like this, I'm just proud of Seaside, the things that we're able to do. So take a look at the program, see the things that are happening here. Today we got the basic beliefs going on right after the service. If you're interested in that, Ginny will be leading that. I'm doing a class on the power of your word. Deb Sadler finally talked me into doing the class, Power of the Word. She said, Christian, when you speak, there is power in your word. How do you do that? Well, so here he is. They want to know, I'm doing this class a week from Tuesday, but sign up today, even if you're still thinking about it, because we're ordering books. So Lisa Lee, we'll let you know after today how many books to order, but that's going on for sure. Also, Callie, you got Friday night is like International Women's Day. What are you doing here with them? We're not here. I know what you're doing here. It's like,
good morning.
Hey, morning. Here's a kiss. Hey. Good morning.
I would like to reach out to the women and remind you that it's International Women's Day. No, we're not doing a flash mob this year, but I would like to invite you to come and join us. It's going to be an evening, a very uplifting evening, a celebration, very inspiring. We have Bashira, who is one of our all-time favorite singers, who is in The Lion King, is coming to dance and sing and chant with us and to get us moving. We have Vicki Morgan from the San Diego Drumming Circle that come and drum with us. We're going to chant, we're going to drum, we're going to really step into our power of what it's like to be women and to go to that place of love and know that we have the power to stay in love. So please come and join me Friday night right here. Thanks.
Oh, sounds good. Man, that's a high-powered cast to get. How'd you get all of them? Anyway, hey guys, anybody want to talk to me? Yeah, what you got going on there?
Today we made kindness things, and there was butterflies and unicorns on it, and this butterfly was on mine and it fell off.
Wow, that was cool. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, Coop. We'll go over there. What you got going on?
So today we learned about forgiveness, and forgiveness to me means putting yourself in another person's shoes, kind of like empathy.
Nice. Very well. Great job, Toria and Ticha. Hey, what you got going on? I don't want to block your views, so.
June.
First day, welcome to Seaside.
First day, Miguel, I draw just butterflies.
And unicorns. Nice going, Miguel. Anybody else want to? Yeah, what you got going on here? Okay. Hi, what's your name?
My name's London, and today it's my first day here.
Oh my goodness. Did you have fun? You gonna come back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gabriel, oh my goodness, welcome. You gonna come back?
Today I get a fish, and then my fish is gonna eat 1,000 minutes.
Wow, good going. Well, hey, I love what our community does. I mean, it is so important to send you out in this world with that sense of life and just self-worth, knowing you got a gift to give. You got a gift to give the world? Yeah. Well, we have a gift we want to share with you right now. Let's say this affirmation together. We see you. We love you. We support you in your magnificence. Again, we see you. We love you. And we support you in your magnificence. I want to pray, so I invite any of our religious science practitioners to stand here in this moment and all of us to feel that upliftment of that divine vibration that is moving in this moment. For it truly is a divine emanation of that presence of God that is personalizing its touch in our field of awareness. So come to recognize it. It is ever available, but it is in this moment I am able to look through the veil and see that deeper expression of the divine in all situations in my life. I'm able to look into the eyes of those that are before me and see as God sees, that spark, that flame, that presence that is alive in all situations and all dynamics. I choose to recognize that infinite, that life force, that which breathed expression into me in all. And it's in this moment that I begin to feel myself just resonate with the greater possibility, the greater expression to move beyond the dark story of fear and concern and begin to know what is stirring in my innermost being is that awakening of that greater possibility of the divine vibration that brings about a resolution and a healing and a transformation. For this is the natural emergence of the expression and the manifestation of that presence of God. There's nothing that can deny that in our personal experience but our own thinking. And so I know right now that I move beyond the limited perception that I've held about any of those places of constriction in my life and open up to that emerging greater yet to be. And so whatever the condition may be in our personal experience, in our life, in our world, that is limiting, that is painful, that is difficult, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, they are the personal experience. But as I begin to move to that sacred spiritual vibration of the presence, it is far greater than anything unlike it. And so that which is not meant to be dissolves into the nothingness from which it came. And I learn and I grow and I expand, I incorporate, and I begin to embrace all that which has gone before me in my life, in my world, as that which allows me to bring forth my gift in a greater way. And as I live within this wonderful flow, I begin to feel that sense of fulfillment and success in my creative expression. As I open up to that which I am to do, I find that spirit moves, and as that spirit moves, it purges out anything unlike itself, and this body, which is the temple of God, knows how to heal it for there's something that awakens in every cell, every tissue, every organ, every fiber. This physical being, this innate blueprint of wholeness has its way, and this remembrance in the physical form allows the healing to take place, and the body comes into greater alignment, greater balance, greater weight, flow, circulation. The whole systems begin to click in the manner in which they are intended to express, and anything unlike it is gone, not because I'm telling God what to do or anything outside of myself, but I become that place where the divine emanation moves and it attracts that which supports it, and the resources and the funding and the ways and the means that are beyond my present field of perception begins to flow forth in greater ways than ever before. And I find myself living with a sense of joy, bringing the zest for life into relationships, and those relationships become intimate and juicy and more honest and revealing, and I begin to be that greater transparency for those I am with to see the presence of God. I I'm grateful to have been called to this world at this time to share that which I am to do and which I courageously do as each and every one of us steps forth to bring forth this difference-making expression to our community, to our nation, and to the collective consciousness of this planet. For we have come to this world for a time such as this to bring the peace, the love, the caring, the compassion, and I am grateful. I am grateful for now, for this moment, for that which is ours to do. And as I do that, as we do that, the healing, the transformation emerges because we have become the portal for that expression of God to have a greater way for all. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. And this is what you have to say. Come on, Seaside. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on, Seaside, I want to hear you sing. Beautiful, Seaside, yeah. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And before affirmation, I just want to remind you, I'm heading out that door. That's where the coffee is. That's where the goodies are. That's where you do your bingo card and see if you can find those names and think about what name you want to put in stone for those to come in the future and the blessing of your life. Now, people come back and just go looking for that 5 years later for sure. And then, of course, go by, talk to Azim, find out what you can do to support. Thank you. And join us for lunch. There's just so much that is going on. But really why I took the microphone to talk to you now is I just want to remind you, next Sunday is daylight. I don't know if we're saving or losing, but it's going to cost you an hour one way or the other. So you want to set your clocks ahead an hour. And if you forget, you'll make it in time for collection, which is just fine by me. But, you might as well get something for that. So just want to give you a heads up. Next Sunday is when that's happening. But right now, what is happening is this affirmation that I am living as an expression of Spirit. Let's say this together. I am living as an expression of Spirit. Touch your heart and say it again. I am living as an expression of Spirit. One more time like you mean it. I am living as an expression of Spirit. And our song of grace.
I'm living in love. I'm living in peace. I'm living my life for what I believe. Through joys and through fears, in this world I walk. God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace.
are living in grace. We're living in love. We're living in peace. United we stand as one family. We honor all truth as together we walk. God's grace moves through me and it moves through us all. We are living in grace. 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 Have a wonderful day, Seaside.